Right, define a crash, an economic crash, a recession, a depression, economic collapse. Uh, People look at, corporate media and listen to Wall Street to define what is a crash. They have listened for years to how well the economy is doing, which is all based on how Wall Street is doing. Yet, take a look at what's going on, what has been going on for years. The actual move for the fight for 15 started in 2009. So that's 12 years. But even if they enacted a $15 minimum wage right now, it would still be insufficient. $15 an hour is what, $30,000 a year? Something like that. 1 second, I'm going to recheck my math on that, I believe. Okay, so yes, $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, times 52 weeks a year, that's without taking a vacation, is $31,200. Does that sound like a living wage, a thriving wage to you? We've got people quitting their jobs by the tens of millions. Okay. Grand total over 4 months, 16 million people quit their jobs, 17 million people quit their jobs. That's over 10% of the U.S. workforce. Over 10% of the U.S. workforce quit between August and November. And I don't think the numbers for December are out yet. I'm not sure. But, the labor participation rate is 61.9%, which means 38.1% of Americans have just left the workforce or are not counted. It's not that they've left the workforce, it's that they're not counted in the unemployment numbers. That doesn't even mean that that number of people are not looking for a job. It just means that they are not counted in the unemployment numbers in the way the unemployment is calculated. So that the numbers that you hear about some 4% or whatever is an absolute lie, and I've done a number of videos on that already. And not going to go into that again here. We've got massive strikes going on across this country, and we're going to see more. Why is that happening? Because people are not making living wages. People don't want to be exploited for the low pay. Who defines what is a crash? And that the answer again is Wall Street. There were over half the country was living in poverty and already had massive unemployment in 1929 before the stock market crashed. But that was when they declared it an economic crash. At 2008, they never really called that a crash. The internet bubble, they never really called that a crash. Why? Because the rich were still making money on the stock market. It's only when the rich start losing money that they call it a crash. And yet, when the rich are making money, are you making money? No. They're trying to force you back into low-wage jobs. Look at the inflation rate right now. They announced that the inflation rate is, what, 7%, 9%? But look at how that's according to the core CPI, Consumer Price Index. And the core CPI does not, it intentionally excludes the cost of energy, housing, and food. And I think it leaves out transportation as well. What are the major expenses in your life? Those four things. You look at the price of chicken, it's up 20%. Beef is up 25-30%, and that's if you can find food in the stores now. Look at the price of fuel, heating, energy in general. Look how much that is up. The price of used cars has gone up to where even used cars sometimes cost more than the same car cost when it was brand new. And this isn't a crash. This is the devaluation of the dollar. They say that the dollar is doing fine. And yet, the United States has a trade deficit with basically every country that we do trade with. Other countries, for the most part, don't even want to buy what we're exporting, except for oil and agricultural products. There's not much that is being sold of American goods that are exported. You talk about Tesla. Well, Tesla, yes, they're doing fine, and other companies are doing fine selling products in China, but the company may be based here. It might be. They may have their headquarters actually listed in, some other country where they don't have to pay taxes on their profits. And then the products that are being sold in China are built in China. If you're struggling to make ends meet, to pay your rent, to buy groceries, you cannot afford to go to a doctor or to buy your medication for your high blood pressure, your diabetes, your insulin, your any chronic condition, etc. You cannot look around and say, well, the dollar's doing fine, we're not in a crash. You can't say, well, other people are making money on Wall Street, so we're not in a crash. We are in a crash. We have been in a crash for over a decade now. And it's just getting worse. You can't listen to corporate media that is nothing but the PR department of Wall Street and let them define what a crash is, because they're only going to present what they want you to hear, what they want you to believe. This is social engineering. At its core, this is social engineering. They're trying to stop the people from rising up, from speaking out, from conducting mass strikes, worker strikes, general strikes. It's time for those strikes to start happening right now. We've got millions of people that have been or are in the process of being evicted with no place to go. This is a crash. So when the media is telling you, oh, buy the dip, I mean, do you even own any stocks? I think most of the people watching this don't own any stocks. And the majority of Americans do not own any stocks unless it's in a 401k. And when that 401k crashes, look what happened in 2008, 2009. Look what happened to the people with their money in 401ks. What happened to them? What happened to their retirement and their investments in Wall Street? No. Even if you're making money on the stock market, are you making as much as the inflation rate right now? That 7 to 9% is a farce. It's a lie. Inflation is more in the range of 15 to 20% right now. You got rent in some places that has gone up for entire cities. Rent has gone up by 24%. And the average is about 14%. So if you get a raise of 5%, how well off are you? If you make even 10% on your investments, how well off are you? If it goes up another 10% this year, which it very well could, they're already talking about $200 a barrel oil. Look at what you're paying for gas right now. We are in a crash, and this crash has been planned. It is intentional. It has been coming for decades. So stop believing that we are not in a crash. Stop letting Wall Street define what is a crash. We need to define this ourselves. All right? Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel and sign up for Issues Unite, where your information is not going to be censored. And, to help expand that platform as well. All right, so thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.